This week on Rockstar Superhero.
I'll say it out loud right now. Atlas, the darkly melodic Finnish powerhouse, is one of the best bands in the world. Their new album, UKKO, has an unmistakable sound and an intense vision that must be experienced to believe. It's a revelation and one that I cannot shake. I had a chance to talk to both Tuomas and Patrik for roughly an hour, and it was the most personal affair. The guys shared the truth behind the words and the pain behind the music, and we all left better men for it. I love these guys so much that I almost want to move my entire family to Finland just so we can spend more time together. It was really that special to me. Now, I understand I'm known for exaggeration and speaking in glassy tones about the bands and the music I love, but this one was different. After listening to the show, I'm sure you'll feel the same way. There's not much else to blabber on about, so let's get to it. This is the sound of Northcore. This is Atlas on Rockstar Superhero.
When I discovered you guys online, I was completely over the moon. It was an accident, actually. I just happened to be going through Instagram, of all places, and I'd seen a few of your posts, and there is a set of twins that do a lot of reaction videos called The Windmill of Corpses. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
We are.
Okay. They're these great young guys. They're very silly, but I have to admit they're very entertaining. And you were one of the bands they had mentioned. So it proves that that sort of thing has legs, because it made me want to go out and do some research and, get to know you, get to know the band. And the first track I heard, which is the title track on the new record, blew my mind. It was just, it's what I've been missing. And I do tend to talk a lot, so I'll have to apologize in advance. I don't know if I ask so many questions, but I feel like you're one of these new bands that I'm very, very excited about, and I wanted to start this out today by just sort of heaping praise on you and telling you that I felt so strongly.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate it. Yes. Glad to hear you like it.
Yeah, it's really, really something. The one thing I've noticed over the years is that, my music taste has become more intense. I'm 55 years old, and some people might say I've become numb to, easier or simpler music. Or maybe even what you would call traditional metal, and I've moved on to more extremes. But truthfully, as much as that's sort of true, what I care most about is groove and melody. I love a hardcore song. I love a heavy song, but I want to bounce to it. I want to bob to it, and yet I do want it to be insanely heavy. And to me, Atlas has done this in a big, big way. So
Wow.
my first question would be, what does it feel like to know you're hitting people like you're hitting me?
I think that's the whole intention behind doing it. Like exactly what you're saying, like just like feeling a connection and like, I don't know, like I started doing this because I wanted other people to have that sort of reaction when I found something new and something like this is exactly what has been missing in my life. Like this sort of music, this combination of all the things I love about music. And I just want to give that feeling to other people. And well, I think it's the highest praise you can give us, because like that's why we do this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm happy to give that praise. I do, as I tell everybody who comes on the show, I do tend to say the same things, which is I really love what you're doing. But the truth is, Tuomas, the reason I love it so much is because it speaks to me, right? I wouldn't have anybody on the show that I don't genuinely enjoy something about how the music conjures up an image or a feeling. It isn't about brutality, so to speak, right? So many people seem to be caught up in the metal world because they're so angry that they need an outlet. And yet what I find so attractive to me about the metal music world isn't that it's brutal, but that there's something real to it, that speaks deep to my soul. There are certain times I'll say, wow, that's brutal. But it seems to me that you guys have taken the very best influences of this style of music, this heavy music style, and in a sense, stylized it. Now, I don't want to say that is a bad thing, but that is what Atlas is to me. It happens to be stylistic, but it's full of substance, which is something that is sorely missing from the heavy music space. So another question would be, what is your take on style? And do you worry about being taken seriously when some fans might complain that you guys are so glossy? They may not pay attention to the mood. I mean, I don't think that's a problem, but do you know what I mean? When a band is stylistic and full of substance, it's hard for people sometimes to notice the substance because they're looking at the sheen of everything.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean, but like, that's a good question. I'm not sure. We definitely pay attention to that, like the style of everything, and it's great to hear that it still sounds like full of substance, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And like what is like the cornerstone in our music is to like just sound sincere and I'm not sure how to explain this, but
that's okay.
Yeah, like actual real feelings and just transmitting that energy, and music just being the medium for that.
Yeah. It's I am cautious today to not heap too much praise, because I don't want to constantly hit on the emotion of the music.
Yeah.
But I'm fully aware of what this album is about. And I know you've been asked this many times. So I'm actually kind of hesitant to talk about it again. For on your behalf.
Well,
but
just bring it.
Yeah,
no, it's all cool. Yeah, that's the way.
Yeah. I know we'll get there, but I recently interviewed a band. Actually, it's been a number of months now, and we did not release. I'm not going to put the name out. We did not release the interview at the band's request, because we spoke so in depth about the personal process of dealing with a father's passing. It was just so full of grief that the band was, maybe rightly so, was concerned that their fans couldn't listen to the music without visualizing the band suffering, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't want to place myself in the middle of your story, but I absolutely recognize what losing a father feels like, because it happened to me recently as well. And I know this new album, is it pronounced UKKO or UKKO? I want to make sure I'm
UKKO.
UKKO. Okay. It's again, for anybody reading and for anybody listening at this moment, this is it seems to me it's the album, and the title track, of course, is about the loss of your father, but it's not just personal, it's symbolic. And there's this feeling in that song that even if you're not listening to the lyrics, there's this feeling of dread and loss and soul being torn out from you. It's an absolutely intense expression of pain. And I'm wondering if the songwriting process and then all these interviews and talking about it has given you some catharsis.
It absolutely has. And like, yeah, it's like, obviously that's what the whole album is about. That's the main theme. But like, I'm not sure. We both lost our fathers, and this was like a really cathartic experience. Like we spoke about it with the whole band, but me and Patrik especially, like the whole process and like the stages of grief. Because, well, I lost my father in the summer of 2020, and your father,
2006.
Yeah, so
some time ago, though.
Yeah,
still hurts.
Yeah. I don't believe it ever stops in a way.
Yeah.
I don't want it to either.
No.
If you know what I mean.
Yes,
yeah,
I absolutely do.
Yeah, and so that's like the like the biggest part of, or like the source of like emotion, mostly grief, but there's also some joy, some hope. We both became fathers recently in the making of this album, like during the making of it, and that was like thank you, and that was another thing that just kind of like, well, it's like the age of duality, like the balance of life and death, and it's like a cliche, but when it hits you in the face, it's like you like finally understand like how big of a concept that is.
Yes,
and all that is in the record. And that being said, those were the main inspirations and stuff, but we didn't want the grief to be overwhelming. Like you explained that you had a band and it was just, they didn't want the audience to have that like instant connection with just like that kind of a downer feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
And even though all the lyrics and music, it's really inspired and like the source is grief and loss and sadness, but we wanted like that symbolic element you spoke of, so that it's not too much on the nose and it doesn't feel like contrived and like milking the grief or anything.
Yeah,
because that was like another thing we talked about and we were like super conscious about, that we didn't want it to be like, I'm not sure, just
it's wise, Tuomas.
Yeah.
Even though it's the origin of the sound of this record.
Yeah.
You know, it's wise that you say that. I think it's really easy for the artist to want to sort of stand on a pedestal and shout, "This is how I feel. I need you to understand it. I need you to take this from me," right? Because that's part of the artistic experience, is when we create something either from joy or from sadness, wherever it comes from, we're giving it to our audience because we want them to take it, right? We're not doing it just for ourselves. We're doing it for them. But I think it's so important. And I love what you said, because it's so important to not hand off that grief as though it's their problem now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's supposed to be empowering in a way.
Yeah, that's like the underlying message, I guess, that we want to give.
Not like, look at us, we're fucking suffering all the time.
Yeah,
you know, that's not the message.
Right.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, I would also say too that as a first-time listener, when I heard that track, I didn't automatically think, "Oh, this is about, the death of a father, or the death of a generation, or the death of the world, right? It didn't actually feel like that to me. It actually felt unspoken. I don't know if I can explain that correctly, but I sensed something in the symbolism of the video. And granted, I watched the video, so that helped. But I sensed this feeling of darkness, but this sort of hope that you could press through it, if that makes sense. And that maybe even if you were left alone with nothing but the shirt on your back, or maybe even feeling like you were being left to drown, right? That there was this hope. And maybe it's the fact that you two are sitting next to each other. Maybe it's something about your personal dynamics between you two that are what actually make this all okay, because you clearly come at this as I get it, the band is not just two people, but the duo of you, the two of you, sort of supporting each other in this vision and in this experience and in the marketing. So I know there's not really a question in there, but that's how I feel about that experience. And I just think it's one of the most brave and beautiful things. And I know it sounds silly to call something like this beautiful, but I think it's gorgeous. And it hit me so hard because I didn't know what it was about, but I sensed it in my gut. And now that I know, it counts all the more.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And with that song, like you mentioned, like I'm not sure how you described it, like through the darkness and finding the hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's the end of that song, UKKO, it's all sung in Finnish, and I'm not sure. No one's asked about that yet, but like what it's even about. But it's really dark, actually. It's kind of like a memento mori thing, and just like be mindful of death and just accepting that that's part of life, and that's what that's about. So I wouldn't say it's like there's hope. I would say like there's a conclusion, and where we've made our peace with it, so to speak.
Yeah,
because it's a part of life.
Yeah, it is. But I guess here's why I say there's hope, and I don't want to try to change your point of view or opinion on this. I completely understand the memento mori thing is very spot on. But you told me a little while ago that both of you are now fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And has anybody ever said to you, because this changed my life when somebody said this to me, they said, you never realize how much your father loves you until you have children of your own. And then you realize what went before you.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely. Yeah, you can't describe it to anyone or try and explain it. It's just you have to feel that for yourself and experience it.
Yeah.
I used to try to imagine how it would be to be a father and all that stuff. I was so sure I was quite close,
No, not even close.
Yeah, but
not even remote.
It had nothing to do with the feeling of actually fathering a child.
Yeah, I hope it's okay that we talk about this a little bit.
Absolutely.
I think it's really important because this is rare. I don't get to have this discussion with people, and this might actually make me emotional, so I have to be careful here. But the experience of a father's passing is such an amazing and awful thing all at the same time. It's like one of the most it's not pretty in the sense of like, oh, that's beautiful or that's joy filled, or again, I don't want to use any of these positive things, but like you said, it is the passing of the torch. It is the next phase, and now you're the stand-in. And I'm curious, now that your fathers and you've lost your fathers, what is I don't want to say fear, but I guess I have to. What is your biggest fear as you grow older? What are you trying to put into your children so that you continue on past your death?
I mean, for me, it's like I try not to think about it too much because it's like a pretty abstract thing. Like, am I going to be alive next year? Am I going to be alive in 30 years? So
Right.
It's like the daily things, just like trying to be present with my daughter every day. And when I'm with her, and just simple things like what I'm going to try to pass on is just be a good person. That's like the most like short way to say it, I guess. But that's what my father taught me, not like necessarily with his like, sit down, son, now we're going to have a conversation about being a
Right.
good person, but like leading by
Right.
example. And just like I used to work with my father a bunch when I was a teenager, and he like taught me the value of hard work and being nice to people and being polite and like all those things that so many people don't have. Like and I only realized that like later in life, that not everyone gets to have that, and I'm super grateful for it. So just like instilling that, like, I don't know, be a loving person.
Do you think? Well, okay. So let's actually get back to the band and the music, because I mean, we can stay on this. I mean, that's fine. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I want to start linking in the band, because we're here to talk about that. But how long has Atlas been together? How long have you been a band?
Since 2015, I think.
15 or 16, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, obviously, you're in the heavy music space, but again, I want to just ask this one more time about this. With the passing of your father, and then of course, Patrik, your father, that had preceded all of this. It doesn't change the fact that this has been on your mind. Do you feel that the music of the band has gotten darker, stayed the same? I mean, has there been a shift in the musical mood since this happened?
I would say absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've become more honest with the music and with the feelings we have, and just try to portray those feelings and things into the music quite openly, as well as to the lyrics. But yeah, it has.
Yeah, I think honesty is a good word. Like not trying to do something we're not good at, or trying to be something we're not.
Yeah, or something that somebody else might like.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't think about those things anymore.
Yeah, not too much.
Yeah.
That's great. So it actually helps me as a fan, because as a listener, the thing I noticed, and this is wonderful that you guys are saying this, because it crystallizes it for me, is your music has it sounds distilled. It sounds like it's been condensed into its truth. Right? Like if you listen to just again this track, this first track, it sounds like this is the sound of Atlas. Like it's very serious and direct. It doesn't feel like you're test driving ideas. And I think that is an amazing thing. And I'm going to tell you something that I was kind of hoping to save as a surprise, but you guys are in my top 10 album list of the year. It's I mean, you're right up there with the big boys, Gojira and everybody. You guys,
Oh shit!
you have created. No, you really are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the world doesn't, the whole world doesn't know you yet. They will, because there's a truth to it that does not exist in a lot of music. I mean, it clearly doesn't exist in pop, but I don't know if it exists in metal. A lot of times it's just either I'm pissed off or I'm doing this because it's fun, right? Or I'm doing this for whatever, back in the 80s when they were doing it for girls and, and Corvettes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's so legitimately on point that it deserves the world to pay attention and stand up to it.
Wow, man. Thank you. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Now that I've blasted you with a fire hose.
Yeah. Because we were kind of hesitant. I don't know if that's the right word. A bit anxious about the reception of this album because it's way different to what we've done before. Not in the sense that we didn't believe in the album, but we weren't sure if people would, I don't know, understand it. It would click with people.
Yeah. But because it's distilled, because it's been honed, it's been perfected, it's been quickened, whatever sexy 50-cent word we want to use.
Yeah.
The fact is it means exactly what it is. People can't question it anymore. That's what's so amazing about it. When you hear it, you go, oh, it doesn't matter if you can't explain it. I can't explain it, but I know that when I hear it, I go, oh, it just, boom, right there.
All right. Well, I think we can stop making music now, because
you can't.
Yeah,
That's the thing. If you died, it would be. And I don't want to lose you guys. You guys are great guys. But if you died, you created a masterwork. I mean, it's a masterwork. I'm not blowing smoke. It's a masterwork. I've talked to a ton of people. So we're compiling right now. We're compiling our best of list. And, I've got about 25 different musical artists and authors that have sent me their list. And your album is on 14 of the lists. You just don't know it. People are paying attention.
That is awesome.
For real.
Yeah, that's an insane number, I'd say, out of 25.
Yeah,
that's 25.
Especially 14 with this late of a release in the year.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Everyone's already posting their lists.
Yes, and that's the thing. I mean, the only reason the list hasn't come out yet is because the album hasn't come out yet. The only reason, I'm serious, the only reason I have not put out the list is because of your album. I want it to be out before the list drops because I want people to be able to go and say, what is this all about? You see.
Mm-hmm.
I've praised you enough, but let me ask a few questions.
Sure.
What does Northcore stand for in the name reference? I mean, I see this a lot. I know the word Atlas has been used. I mean, there aren't a lot of band names that, everybody's kind of using the same name everywhere you go anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, we started out as, I think, like your average metalcore band.
Mm-hmm.
But when we started to write UKKO, we just put so much of our environment and our surroundings into the music, since we're from Finland.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it started to turn out more like metal music than like metalcore music.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't get rid of the core part of the word. So then you mash all these things up, and that's what you come up with, I guess.
Okay. Cool. I love it. So you have your own subgenre.
Yeah, kind of, because we had to figure something out, because we didn't want to put out press releases that say that we're a metalcore band, because that's not it. Yeah. We don't identify as a metalcore band, and we don't want to say we're a metal band either, because there's gonna be some dude in camo shorts and long hair who's these
putting some
fucking
hate on
pussies ain't metal.
Right. Well, but see, this is fantastic because, I mean, when I think of, I don't know if technically it is, but when I think of Scandinavia, I think of, musically, obviously Norway and Sweden are known, right, in a sense, with quotes around it, for being these birthplaces of certain types of music, particularly black metal, right? But Finland is becoming the face of something new, and it seems to me that Northcore might be the perfect term for it. I don't know much about Finland. What are the most popular types of music there? Is it just like anywhere else in Europe? You have your
I'd
pop and your
say,
prog, and
Well, it's metal music.
Well, it's predominantly, it's like everywhere else, pretty much. But there are more metal bands in Finland than anywhere else in the world, and there's like a huge audience for metal here.
Yeah, like every second guy walking past you has a metal band, pretty much.
Yeah.
Really? Why do you think that is?
I really don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not sure,
Fair.
actually.
haven't
It's something
thought
about because we're technically not a part of Scandinavia. But
Right.
A bunch of bands in Sweden and Norway too.
Yeah.
Something's in the water, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
And that's why I said that about Scandinavia earlier. I apologize because I don't want to offend you with that. But yeah, I know you're not technically.
No.
I'm taken, man.
It's just that area, right? The Black Sea, not the Black Sea, the North Sea. You know what I mean? Just that whole area.
Yeah.
There is something in the water that's true, but I attribute it a lot of times. This seems to come up a lot lately too, which is, when you live in an environment that's so harsh, that for 6 months or whatever, 3 months a year, it's brutal and it's cold and it's dark and it's all these. It kind of makes sense that people would escape to their basements of their houses and write music that makes them, either overcome what they're feeling, that oppression outside, right? But there has to be something in the cultures that say this is the direction we sort of go musically. I wonder what that is. Maybe former like religious oppression or something you're trying to push back from.
Yeah, could be that too. But yeah, I definitely agree with the being that it's winter, like 5-6 months of the year.
Yeah.
If you go up north, it's even more than that. You don't get sunlight in 2 months.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, it's insane. We live pretty south, I guess, but it's still dark at 3 in the afternoon, right now. So, yeah.
Wow. Where are you at? Which town?
Tampere.
Okay. I have no idea where that is.
It's southern Finland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, maybe the religious thing too. Like, there's a fair bit of similarities with like old Scandinavian religions and all that, and then Christianity coming here and doing its fucking thing.
Right.
So yeah,
I can tell what you think too, because you just said right, like this. Well, this idea of oppression, because I mean, I don't want to go off on this too far, but in America, I mean, we're a Christian nation, right? That's what we say. We're a Christian nation, but I don't think that's true. I mean, there are parts about it that I understand why people would do that. If you feel a certain way, and you want I don't want to say you want others to feel that way, but you hope others will feel that way. But the problem with Northern Europe, and just like was in South America, was, the church went into those areas and said, you will believe this or we'll kill you, which is just madness. Yeah. Right. So I don't need to know your position on spirituality, because clearly you're pretty much against at least the Christian aspects of it. But I'm curious if the loss, this is just another sort of question about your fathers, but the losses of your father, like in Scandinavia, or particularly in Finland, what's the feeling on death when it comes to that? Like, when it comes to spirituality or religion, do people have a belief in a heaven or an afterlife? And And does it, when it happens in your world, does it push you towards it, or does it piss you off so much that, you know what I mean? Like you just get farther away from it.
I guess that's pretty individual thing for
Gotcha.
for Finnish
Yeah,
people.
I guess so. Yeah, Finland is like a Christian country too.
Okay.
It's predominantly Christian Lutheran, but yeah, most people they're part of the church and they get buried like with the Christian ceremonies and such.
Mm-hmm.
Like neither of our fathers, I don't think,
No.
had anything to do with that. So yeah.
More
But
of the Norse pagan sort of thing.
I guess so. Burning would be like more Norse pagan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a burning boat.
Okay. Was this like Eric the Viking?
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Look, I clearly don't know anything about,
It's all right.
the cultural things that happen there, but I just don't know what that's like. I think that's what the album does. It brings up so many questions about what is death like in Finland,
Yeah, I totally understand that. And go back to that, like Patrick said, it's an individual thing, but like for our generation, I think more and more people are like leaving Christianity behind. Like just, I don't know anyone who's even like a tad bit religious, I think. So everyone's an atheist, and there's like this, I don't know, I guess longing for some sort of spirituality, whatever it might be. Like maybe it's romanticizing some old pagan religions, but I don't know. That was another thing that kind of was a concept on the record. Just what is holy in today's world?
Where's hope? Maybe, right? Is there any hope?
Yeah, kind of like that. Like, because we've been like brought up with Christian values, so to speak. And even though some of those are like good, like rules of thumb to live by, but I'm not sure. We try to like find our own truth in the world, I guess.
Yeah. It's a struggle, man. It's a struggle. I mean, I grew up in the church and I have my beliefs, but I have my, my concerns, my doubts, my frustrations, my moments of fuck everything. You know what I mean? It's
That's healthy.
Yeah. I look at it this way. God is awful quiet.
You're right about that.
Man. Like, and I mean, and I do choose. I mean, and this is nothing for or against. I do choose to believe that there is a creator. But I also know that I choose to believe that. Like, and I'm not saying that I haven't seen good things in my life, but like everybody, I look at your lives and I don't even know you guys, and we've talked about some of the tough, the sad things about our lives, but there's so many good things in your life too. And so it's just life, it's just so difficult. But I have something I wanted to touch on today that I thought was really interesting that I looked up. I don't know if I would say I'm big into etymology, but I have become fascinated with it in the last few years. And what does a name mean, right? What are your given names, right? And I find it incredibly interesting that somebody's name, when you look it up, the definition of the name, where it comes from, it describes the person almost always just to a T. And so I looked up both of your names just to verify, because I knew I was correct on both of them, but I wasn't positive, so I had to check it out.
All right, I'm getting nervous.
No, I see. If you don't, that's what's awesome about this, is if you don't know, it's even better. So Patrik translates into noble, or from a noble or fatherly line. Of a noble fatherly line. Tuomas means twin. And what I find incredibly interesting is that you two found each other. You're partners in this business. You're partners in this band. You're here today with me, and it just reminds me of some of the best bands in the world have this dual figurehead where you have a symbiotic nature. You have these things that you believe in between the two of you as a core of the direction of what you're trying to achieve. And at the same time, you're completely unique people. But there's this requirement. It's almost like you guys have to be together to make this work. And so I just thought it was really fascinating that Patrik's name means, noble family, noble father from coming from this father. And then Tuomas means twin, because of who you are and who I'm talking to today. What's your take on that?
I don't know. That's that's a really broad question, and
yeah,
it is correct in the sense that most of the backstory and I don't know the essence of the music and stories and lyrics, it does come from our lives, and it's a crazy thing that we ever even met up in the first place.
There you go.
And now we're in the same band. We live maybe 100 meters from each other.
Wow.
We're the godfathers of each other's daughters. We have a video production company together.
Yeah, man.
See, I'm telling you, it's the truth, right? I mean, it's freaky. And so this is not me being religious, okay? I'm not being religious here. But the thing that I found that's really so cool about this is, if God is real, okay, I'm putting some ifs down.
Careful now.
I know. But I love talking about it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
For sure. If God is real, then that means he knew you were going to be created, and then he told your parents to name you that. Does that make sense? I love that idea, because my name is Rob, and Rob means bright or shining. Now, I don't think I'm some amazing thing, but have you ever met a Rob that is boring? We're all hyper and weird, and we've got a million things going on. Do you see what I'm saying? Names mean something.
Yeah, I definitely get that. And I like the symbolic value of that whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm really into etymology also. I'm Googling words every other day.
Awesome.
Wanting to know where they're from. But
I haven't really thought about it, but now that I do, I'm starting to like it. In a way. Yeah. Even though I believe my name has something to do with St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And my father was a heavy drinker, so. But you know, one thing leads to another.
Yeah. Well, it comes, but that nobility, the coming from that line, though, right?
Yeah.
Because it's, I think the word is patrician, right? Patrician, which signifies of being of noble blood. Yeah. Do you guys find that people look to you for inspiration and leadership? I mean, are you, in a sense, I don't want it to devalue anybody else in your life or in the band, but are you guys kind of is it your thing, or is it a communal band, or are you guys running the show?
It's very much communal, but I think hierarchies are a really natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be, if you could take a group of 5 people, there's going to be some sort of power structure.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not that works is dependent on, everyone's temperament and ego and stuff. But we're super lucky that we have such a good group of 5 people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And naturally, we're the ones who gravitated towards the leadership and kind of bearing the torch.
So
maybe.
It's just social psychology. Yeah, I believe.
Well, it makes sense. I don't think you guys come off intensely in any way. And of course, I've never worked with you personally, but you clearly are here, right? If that makes sense, you're very present, and we're in this conversation together. You're not waiting for me to ask questions. You're participating. So it proves what you say, Patrik, that it is about like just, it's the feel you get off of people. There are some people who they're just going to lead. That's just the way it is.
For sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
Something I wanted to ask about songwriting is the music, and even me not understanding what you're saying, speaking in Finnish, there's a poetry to it. And I'm wondering if when you write this material and you're writing these lyrics, you're creating these themes, are you creating them to be poetic, or are you creating them to make a statement?
I would say both, but in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
Because I might, let's say I have like 4 lines of text. I start with the first one, and I want that to be poetic, like something that inspires me, something beautiful or sad or whatever, just something that gives you like a visual, like just a feeling you're kind of like put into a mood.
Yeah, puts you somewhere.
Yeah, and I'll do 4 of those lines, but within those 4 lines, there's a subtext, and that's what I really want to say.
Okay.
Or that might like broaden. It just might be like the whole thing is symbolic and really metaphorical, but there's like, if you kind of have to read between the lines sometimes to like, and I'm not saying that's how you have to take it, but that's my intention with it. And I like the fact that people can just make their own like assessment of what it means. And I think that's powerful when you can hear a song, you can hear the lyrics, and you make something of your own from them, and you relate them to your own life, or maybe not to your own life, or you might have an idea that, oh, I'm sure that this is what it means to the person that wrote this. And that's just as valuable to me than like what I actually meant by it.
Absolutely.
Right. But that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? When we were talking about music, or what I was heaping praise on you. It's the idea that we can't help but discern, right? You know this word, right? Discern.
Yep.
And we can't help but discern what something is, right? Like if we're just meeting today, but I think if we were actually in the same room, because we're experiencing this right now, we would probably really like each other. I think we like each other, right? We can recognize that we're good guys who could get along. And I think there's something about human nature, this ability to discern sort of what works for you and what doesn't. It isn't just about taste. It's about something deep in you that knows that's important to me, that's special to me, that doesn't belong. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, not to get into like too much of the woo-woo shit, but like energy, you can definitely like pick up on people's energy. Like, I don't care for the fucking crystals and stones. And yoga and that shit.
Yeah.
And the pyramid schemes.
Yeah. We're cool. I think this is exactly why we can hang out, but keep going.
Yeah. But my point being that it's a very real thing. You don't even have to sometimes speak a word to a person. You know that person is a piece of shit, or that they're a great guy.
Yeah.
Or something just doesn't belong, as you said. We're both big on about the energy in the room.
Mm.
We've spoken of that stuff many times.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's an intuition thing. Like, just straight up.
But that's why the record works so well. because, see, I didn't know your material before. I mean, I've listened to it since, I listened to UKKO because, or what I've heard of, I should say, because I wanted to know more. But, and I enjoyed it. But what I have found, what drew me, what captured me was this moment. And I think what's so important for you to do is just to continue, no matter what, to be truthful, because your audience and your fans not only need to hear your truth because they're drawn to it. They don't know what it is that they're drawn to. They just love it. It's just for them. But it's almost like it's your responsibility to give them what they've been placed in front of you to receive. Right? They're drawn to you for a purpose. I don't know what it is. You probably don't know what it is, but it's not just fandom. They're drawn to you because you've given them something to bite down on that allows them to go through this phase of their life. It's super important. And so, when you said you left from metalcore and you evolved and you were worried about that, if anything, you've thinned the herd. You've brought that audience from, let's say you actually had 1,000 fans. I know you had way more than that, but let's say you only had 1,000 fans. Well, let's say that that 900 of them went away with this new release, but this 100 are never ever going to leave you.
Thank you, man. We sure do hope so.
I like that.
And I think, yeah, beautiful words. And I think they're true too. Like, if you give the people that moment of like what you said in the beginning, like just being blown away, there's not much anything like more valuable than that. And I think that ties into the thing we spoke about, religion and spirituality, and me saying like people are looking for something that is holy. Maybe it's that thing, and that's the purpose we're doing it, just for that one holy moment.